guys, it's Sarah and today is Booklist Thursday. This is a video series I do with my friend Lindsay over at Lindsay's Little Library, and every week we are bringing you some sort of list based on a prompt or, just something that we feel like talking about. Today's Valentine's Day, so we thought it would be fun to pick a prompt based on you guys' suggestions that kind of focuses around like a love theme or something. And there was one that stood out to us, and it is books that tugged at our heartstrings. So I thought that was, we thought that was pretty appropriate for today, talk about the heart and everything. So I have picked 5 books. These are books that definitely made me feel emotions. Some of them made me cry, which is very hard to do. As you guys know, I'm not a super emotional reader, so I don't cry very often in books, but when I do, I do. And so I'm going to talk about kind of 5 that really stood out to me. All right, the first one is On the Island by Tracy Garvis Graves. I read this one recently and I loved this book. This book gave me all sorts of feelings. It definitely tugged at my heartstrings because it made me scared. It made me a little bit anxious. It made me hopeful, and then it would drop it down to there's no hope. And there's a love story that is just, it happened so beautifully. I love the way that it was handled, and just all sorts of emotions were going through me when I was reading this pretty short book. This is not a very long book, guys, and I flew through it pretty quickly. And I just loved it. I thought this is one of the best well-written books I've read in a very long time, and I think it's fantastic. So this one follows a woman who is a teacher, and she is hired for the summer to help a student who needs to catch up on some work because he is in remission from cancer. And because of that, he has not been able to keep up with his schoolwork because he was so sick. And so this family hires a teacher to travel with them for the summer to a very remote vacation home that they own and help him catch up for school. And upon traveling to this place, their plane goes down and they end up stranded on an island, just her and the student. And you see them surviving. They have to survive, and they're there for quite a while. So very good. I absolutely loved it. And I loved it so much. All right, this next one is definitely one that made me cry. I think it made everyone cry when they have read it. And that's Night by Elie Wiesel. This is the shortest book, but there's so much in here that just makes you, it breaks your heart. It really does. It doesn't just pull your heartstrings. It like pulls your heart apart from all different directions, because this is his true account of being a prisoner in, I believe, Auschwitz is where he was taken. And, obviously he's Jewish and he was held captive and all that, but just, that's probably all I need to say. I feel like so many people have read this book that I don't need to, say anything more about it because you've probably read it, and oh my gosh. But if you haven't read it yet and you want to, I definitely recommend it, but make sure you are emotionally prepared for what you're going to read, because it is so heartbreaking what he has to go through. And it's incredible. On a much lighter note, let's talk about Colleen Hoover. Okay, I'm holding this one up because her books always tug at my heartstrings in different ways. She makes me feel things I know I shouldn't be feeling. She makes me question things I shouldn't be questioning. She makes me justify things I shouldn't be justifying. She's definitely one of those authors for me. But this is the only one so far that's made me cry. I cried at the end of this book because of the outcome and what happened. It definitely got me, it got me. I wasn't sobbing, but there was at least one tear coming down my cheek at the end when I was finished with this book. So, but this one is about a couple that meets randomly, very randomly, and they meet on November 9th. That's the date that they have their first encounter. They end up spending the entire day together, and it's just like almost an instant obsession with each other, and it's, reciprocated both ways. And the problem is he lives in California, she lives in New York, or she was moving to New York that day. So they decide, instead of, her staying or whatever, she's going to go to New York, just do what she needs to do. And then every year they're going to meet up again on November 9th. And no matter where they are, no matter what's going on in their life, they're going to take that day and they're going to spend that day together. So you see them meet over the next few years on November 9th. And so Loved it. All right, this next one, Snowflower and the Secret Fan by Lisa C. This book had me ugly crying. I was ugly crying, sobbing. I had to put it down so I wouldn't get tear stains on the pages. And that was only the second chapter. So, yep, this one got me big time. This follows two young Chinese girls. And this is a historical book, so it's set quite a while ago. And they end up being kind of forced together as, you know, like you guys would be a good match to have a friendship. And then that's how their friendship starts. And they end up having this friendship based on writing secret messages to each other on these kind of fold out fans. And then no one else can read it because it's kind of their own little language. And they're the only ones who can interpret it and read it. And you see them going through their lives. You see them growing up and what society is doing to them and expects of them. And you see them dealing with some really, really hard things, but throughout most of it, they're, you know, there for each other. So, oh man, this one got me in all the feels. And the last one I'm going to talk about is another recent read that just these characters had such a big impact on me, and they still do. I still think about these characters. It's crazy. And that's The Life She Was Given by Ellen Marie Wiseman. This book. This book definitely made me cry. There are scenes in here that I can still vividly picture in my mind. There is one scene that is one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever read in my entire life, and it is in this book. And this one made me feel a lot of emotions too, because I felt so much for these characters, whether it was anger or sympathy or hopefulness or, you know, just I was feeling what they were feeling, and it was crazy. So this is a book that is set in the early 1900s, and it follows a girl who was born as an albino. Her parents were very ashamed of this because this is, you know, before anything like that was even known. Like no one even really knew what it was. And her mother decides to sell her to the circus because she's considered her a freak. So she sells her to the circus. The people who run the circus are not very good people at all. And you see her growing up in this environment and dealing with it, and also making her lifetime friends and some of the other people who are part of the circus. And you also follow, it's a dual timeline. So you follow someone else who I think is 25 years into the future, maybe. And she is going back to her childhood home, which is also her childhood home. And you see how they are related and how, you know, neither one of them knew about each other and how they find out and all this stuff. Like, it was really good. I loved this book so much. And again, I still think about these characters. I felt so much for all of them. And it's just fantastic. Okay, guys, that's it. Those are 5 books that have just really made a big impact on me and definitely pulled at all my heartstrings. So let me know down below what some of your books are that come to mind when you think about books that pull on your heartstrings. Make sure you go check out Lindsay's video. I'm really excited to see what she ends up picking for this one as well. And we will talk to you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day.